everybody, you know, kind of up to speed on what's going on. So, without further ado, Mr. J. German.
And in conclusion, well, one thing we can do is edit this if it doesn't turn out wrong. I counted 29 people here tonight. I think that's awesome. How many people know what this is? Okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What is it?
Next time.
Okay. How many people have actually used it? Matt, we got 2, 3 more. Okay, so I counted 5 or 6 people out of 29. And the percentages aren't very good, actually, because every one of you should be intimately familiar with this item and use it every time you go on patrol. So I want to do a little basic education. This is a Southern Linc i365. I think it's made by Motorola. And first I want you to think of it as a cell phone. So when you get in the car and you call 669-4181 to sign on, dial that number in here, press the phone button, and talk to them on this phone. Give them your C.O.P. number for everybody that's in the car, and then which car you're in by number. So it's C.O.P. 1, C.O.P. 31, in 9704. And then for the callback number, give them this number, which in this case is 293-4957. So it's written right on the back, and eventually it'll also be in the front of your book. So use it for a phone, and then when you're on patrol, one of the people on patrol should have this with them at all times. So if a deputy wants to contact you, they know you're on patrol. If Columbiana Sheriff's Department wants to reach you, they'll call that number back, you'll have it with you, and it'll be this. And they'll get accustomed to the fact that it's the same phone number in that patrol car every time it's out. And it works really well. I did some testing on it today. Now, the second thing that this is, it's a walkie-talkie. And the benefit of it is that you can talk to Jim Thornton on this by just pushing the button. I'll give you an example. I hit the contacts. I press the C to get Thornton, or to get the C.O.P. director.
It's listed as C.O.P. director.
C.O.P. director, right. But I have to get through all the chaplains. and it says C.O.P. director, C.O.P. director. So all I do is push the button on the side. And that's how I call it. And it beeped his phone. Did you hear that? It's still hooked up there.
Yep. There it is, that's the return.
Now, the protocol is just push the button and let it beep. He may be doing something else, but he'll know because he's going to have it with him all the time and it'll be on. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And,
one of the perks of the job.
And when he can, like when he gets off the phone or gets out of the doctor's office, he'll call you back because he can see who called. He can see who called by car number. You know, is it car 9705, car 9704? This one I actually got from 9704 today, thanks to Jess and partner. You can use it to call another car, the people in that car. You can use it to call the Chelsea deputies. You can use it to call Lieutenant Sumners. You can use it to call Bill Robertson. Is he here tonight?
No.
The reason you can reach Bill is because he's in the chaplains program and all the chaplains are in here, so you just look up Chaplain Robertson and he has his with him all the time. So that's how that works. Now, the benefits, there's two very significant benefits to this item. One is when you leave our radio range area, which is like 10 or 15 miles, this works all over the state. In the event of an emergency, you know what happens to the cell phone system? Everybody gets on it, the system stops working. The direct connect still works. push-to-talk still works. And in Tuscaloosa, when they had all the tornadoes 5 years ago, that was a very significant advantage. So what I would like for you to do, what we would like for you to do, is starting tomorrow, is when you get in the car to go on patrol, familiarize yourself with the phone, play with the contacts list, learn a little bit about it. Call Columbiana when you sign on using this phone, give them the number on the back, and when you finish your patrol, use this phone again. And just get in the habit of using this phone. And then, while you're out on patrol, after you get comfortable with it, make sure you look up C.O.P. Director and call Jim. If there's another patrol out, call the other patrol car. Because in the directory, you'll find each of our patrol cars that has a phone in it listed under unit. You know, we're going to try and change that to say C.O.P. Unit 9705, but right now it says Unit 9705, so you have to go down to the U's to find it. To navigate quickly through the directory, you can take the keypad on the front, and like if you want to get to the C's, you just go to the ABC and hit it 3 times, and it'll take you into the C's, and then you just page down. Questions, discussion? I'd like to talk about this a little bit, about what your experience. Yeah, Dale.
Okay, in the contacts, it also has Sheriff's Dispatch in there, as well as calling them on the cell phone. But do we want to use the cell phone always, rather than using the push to talk to?
That is a very, very good question, and I'm glad you brought that up. Rachel gave me some tutoring today on this subject, and the deputies are not supposed to use push to talk to dispatch or downtown. And the reason is, and it's a very good reason, is they have broadcast capability on this. And when you talk to them directly, you block their broadcast capability. So we should do the dial for signing on and off. I'm really glad you brought that up. Thank you. Other questions? Discussion?
Does every car have a southern?
Every car except 9702. Except Woody, he wouldn't use it anyway.
He wouldn't answer anything.
But there's 5 of them in the system, as I understand it. There's 1 in each of the patrol cars. 1, 3, 4, 5, and Jim has 1. Other question?
Are they all labeled now on the back?
They're all labeled like
They're all
this, right?
labeled, yes.
Yes, they are. Now, I actually added some Scotch tape on top of this because the numbers are starting to wear off the back, and that'll keep them from wearing off. Yeah.
Jay, you mentioned this a while ago, in the case of a severe storm, like they had in Tuscaloosa, this just becomes invaluable. And one reason it does is because this company is owned by a Southern company, which is Alabama Power, and that's how they primarily communicate. And so they have an extremely high priority on getting those towers back up and operating in case of a storm, so that they can communicate with each other to get the power back on. So these are going to get back on far before cell phone towers get back in operation.
Well, and this also won't get loaded down by being overused, which is what happens in most serious situations. Other questions?
Jay, when we contact one car to another car, do we use that C.O.P. repeater or C.O.P. talk around? Is it going to still be involved in that?
Yeah, go ahead and use the radio to talk car to
Radio
car.
talk around on that. Okay.
Let's use our radio system. Let's not stop using our radio system.
Okay.
We've become much more familiar with it. We're using it more. That's a good thing. But this is an alternative. If that radio system goes down, then this is what you would have to use. I saw another hand come up over here somewhere. Yes,
Are
ma'am?
we leaving them plugged in and on all the time, or plugged in and off? Because if the battery is down, if you took it with you, you get no use.
Well, if the battery's charged up, which this one was when I took it out of 9704 today, it'll last about 14 hours. So it'll handle your patrol. If you see that the battery, it's got an indicator in the upper screen, if you see that it's off a little bit, then when you're actually patrolling, go ahead and plug it in. But you shouldn't have a problem with that. Now, if you leave it on and the power goes off on the charger, it's going to run down. So at the end of the shift, make sure you power it down.
That was what my question, but do we leave it plugged in?
Even though
Oh,
I know
If
it's
you
not.
power it off, I don't think it makes any difference if you leave it plugged in or not. I don't know the absolute answer to the question, but I don't think it makes any difference.
Well, if you had it and the power was going down, how long does it take to recharge?
Cody, do you know the answer to that?
If you got a car charger, just plug it in, you can use it instantly.
Right, but to recharge it fully, is it like 3 hours or something?
When I get off at 6:15 in the morning, I put mine on the charger, and it's fully charged when I wake up.
I don't know, that's to be determined when you play with it.
The thing is that if you took it off the charger to take it into a walk around
Right.
You'll be
situation,
fine.
and it was down low, and it, you know.
I'd take it with you anyway. I'd take it, as long as it's working, I'd take it with you. When you're driving, if it's low, plug it in.
But what you're saying, Jay, is that if the battery goes completely dead, you plug it in the charger and you can use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just a-
And Cody said that, but yes, that's correct. Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's still doing this, but I think one of the reasons people got out of the habit of using them was that they were off, you get in the car, you turn it on, and it would start downloading text messages on dispatch office. And it was just, it'd drive me crazy because it'd keep beeping, and you could drive around for an hour and it'd still be beeping, downloading text messages.
What text?
These shouldn't be getting text messages on these phones.
They used to, they don't anymore.
They used to?
Used to.
They
I
used
was
to do that.
I was unaware of that, because they shouldn't be coming on these phones.
Yeah, and my information right now, I have not seen that happen recently. So I don't think, I think that part of it, whatever it was doing, is no longer functioning. So we don't have to worry about it.
And if it is, we'll stop it.
We'll figure out a way.
Yes, sir. Dominic?
One thing everybody needs to
I'm sorry.
check
Ron.
and be sure of is whenever you put your radio back in the chargers when you're through at City Hall, be sure that the green light comes on, signifying that it's charging. I picked up one the other day and it was sitting there in the charger, but it wasn't pushed all the way in and it was dead. So you need to be sure that green light comes on because some of them don't go in there real tight.
That's a good point.
Make sure to turn them on.
Other questions, comments?
Well,
Yes, sir.
On the push to talk, make sure it's on group speaker because.
Oh, I am really glad you brought that up. I'm going to tell them myself a little bit. So I'm trying to learn about this so I can share it with you, what to do. And I get on this thing and I find Deputy Ivy. So I push the button and I try and call her. I don't hear anything. I push the button, try and call her. Don't hear anything. Push the button, try and call her. Don't hear anything. Later, I think John Andrews and I were on patrol. We backed up Deputy Jameson on an alarm call late at night. And after he secured the house and so on, I said, so how come this thing's not working? And he said, let me see it. He said, see this button on the top? That turns the speaker on and off. I had the speaker turned off. And then when I saw Deputy Ivy, she said, next time you try and call me, just push the button, you know, and I'll call you back when I got time. So both Jameson and Ivy knew that I tried to reach them. And then, since they didn't know who it was, it just had a number, you know, the ID number of the phone. They weren't exactly sure who it was, but they kind of suspected it might be a C.O.P. But no, that's a very good point, because you can see when you push this button on the top, it'll say speaker on, speaker off. And it operates the same way whether you're using push to talk or the phone. Good point. Other questions, discussion?
No, you might want to mention, as far as the address book in here, all of the sheriff's office
Yes.
numbers are here.
The entire directory is in here. So you want to be very careful whose name you've got in the contacts before you push that button. Or you might be calling somebody you don't intend to. By the way, Ron, if you had a mustache, you'd look just like Dominic. That's why I made that mistake. Other questions? I thought you were raising your hand, Bob. Okay, is that it on this subject? Everybody's gonna use it, right? And then you're gonna test it and call Jim?
The only
Please
thing,
do.
yeah, the only thing on the phone is when you turn it on, it takes a couple minutes for the SIM card to download all the numbers in it.
Yes.
Before you can make the call, so
It-
give it a little bit of time.
Good point.
Patience.
That's
before
valid.
It starts working.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you, want to mention too, when you power it up and power it down, you have to hold the button, the on-off button a little bit,
Which is the little red button
which
over
is
here
the
on the
little red
side.
button with the line through it. Just to make sure that it either powers up or powers down. Because if you just tap it, it doesn't recognize that.
So who's gonna be in 9704 tomorrow? Donald?
Probably doesn't, doesn't have any gas, so it's.
Who is? You
It's
are?
got a full tank.
Thank you.
Can I ask you to
You
put
were
this
the
back
last
in
one
it?
to use it. Or you were the
I
last
was
one,
the
thank you.
It's turned on, so you can practice turning it off. Okay, so no more on the Southern Link. I wasn't going to talk about anything else tonight. I figured that was enough on that subject. However, item number 2. Some folks have brought up the question about being able to monitor our radio transmissions and the fire dispatch and ultimately the sheriff's department. So I wanted to share with you something that I have stumbled onto. It's a Kenwood TK 2207G. And it'll monitor 16 channels, and it's a two-way. So we can scan and monitor fire dispatch, Chelsea Fire. If we get the repeater thing worked out with the sheriff's office, we'll pick up their dispatches. And the C.O.P. repeater and the talk around are all programmed into this phone. And you too can have one of these for $35 to $40. And that includes a battery and a charger. And there's a lead time of about 3 to 4 weeks to get one. And I have the programming software and the programming cable to put those frequencies in there if you have interest in it. So any questions on this? Pass it around, look at it.
Jay, do you see that as a replacement for the handheld radios that we have now?
No, I don't. This is a cheap radio that works. It does have one downside, and that is if you use the mic on it, it's a little muffled, like you've got 2 socks over the mic.
Right.
It's better if you use a remote mic, which when I'm on patrol, I use a remote mic. But, so I can put it up here where I can hear it, talk into it. But it's really, if you want it yourself so you can listen and communicate periodically, anybody in COP should be able to do that. And the more involved we all get, the more effective we're going to be when we really need it.
Where did you say those were purchased from?
eBay, Asia.
eBay Asia?
eBay, they come out of Asia. I think that one came from China. They're made in Taiwan or something,
Go
Singapore.
on eBay and look it up.
Excuse me?
Go to eBay and look up.
Yeah, just put in Kenwood TK 2207. And if you have any questions, please call me. I'll be glad to help you through it.
Well, you gonna take?
They're all over, and it's not a product that's sold in the U.S., but it works good.
Are you gonna take orders?
I will help you through it.
Oh, okay. I didn't
But
I didn't know how you were gonna do it.
well, but if you wanted to get together and do a group order,
Yeah.
I'd be glad to help with that.
That's what I thought. Everybody give me
Yeah.
$40.
But right now, Jay, we don't have yet the capability to monitor the sheriff's department calls on it at this time.
No, but since you brought that up, what we're working on is being able to receive the sheriff's transmissions and rebroadcast them on a channel that we can listen to on in our patrol cars and on our portable radios. And that was discussed at the last GMC meeting. And I don't know if you know anything about that, Cody, that we're looking at doing that. I'm working with a techno guru who is actually building, it's a little complicated for me, but somebody that will take a scanner that would receive it, which that in itself is a challenge with the sheriff's office Harris system, and then rebroadcast that through a radio like we have in our cars on a channel that Chief Shirley just happened to have available and unused. So we put together a lot of pieces, and all the feedback from the techno gurus seemed to be that this should work, and we're close to being able to test it. So if that happens, then we need to run it by the Sheriff's Department again, and if they're okay with it, we probably want something in writing that says we're okay with it, and then we'll implement it. So I would say the odds are, based on all the things I don't know, 75, 80% that we can pull that off.
At a reasonable price, by the way.
Yeah, at a reasonable price. The first bid we got from the electronics, from the communications company is $5,800. I think we can do it for less than $1,000. So. Oh, there are a couple other features about that phone. There are 2 buttons on the side, beside below the push-to-talk button. The bottom button switches it from scan to not scan. And if it's in scan mode, you can't talk on it. And then at the button above that bypasses the squelch, so you'll get static. If you've got a weak signal, you can push that and hear it. And if you turn the channel, it's got 1 to 16, so you really need a sheet as to what's on each channel. But if you turn it to a vacant channel, you'll get a noise like that also. So, other questions? I'm done.
Thank you, Jay.